You're listening to the Champ Off-Road Podcast, presented by Amsoil.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the Champ Off-Road Podcast presented by Amsoil. Today we're joined by the number 52 Pro Stock UTV Polaris Razor wheelman, Robert Loire. Robert, how's it going this evening?
Pretty good. Just getting things wrapped up for the first race here in a couple days at Erix. So pretty stressful, but getting everything wrapped up here.
It's pretty stressful and busy, no doubt. How's the process been for you getting ready for this first race?
It's been good. Long road. Decided to build a new car this year, and may have gotten a little bit over my head with everything going on, and then thought Crandon was going to be our first race, so it was really stressing there. And then we got a little more time to finish some stuff up, but that just meant that I had more time to test and more stuff to do. So I guess the stress didn't really reduce much. Just decided to do more stuff.
Did you build another RS1, Robert?
Yep. Just basically took what we learned from the past 2 years and kind of just tweaked it a little bit and made quite a few substantial changes, but again, still kind of the same DNA that we had before.
So what is your reasoning for going with an RS1 instead of a conventional two-seater like a Razor or, whatever from Polaris offers? Why go with the RS1?
As soon as I got into the driver's seat, first time I drove one, I just felt more at home. Being in the center just seems more uniform when you turn left or right. And it's also kind of cool just being the odd man out there. But I heard there's quite a few coming on board now. So there should be some more RS1s out there in the field.
As a driver, just how different is that for you? I know you touched on it just a little bit there, but to make that transition from the traditional side-by-side to the RS1, obviously your center of gravity is so different, but what are some of the other big differences you notice behind the wheel?
It's definitely a lot more crowded in there, especially when I gotta go up to the staging area or go through tech. There's really no room in there to throw my gear in or take my helmet off. Sometimes it can get pretty claustrophobic in there. But out on the track, it seems to be really nice just to be right in the center. Your left turns and right turns are very uniform as you're sitting in the center. But there also is a few trade-offs too. The two seats feel like they have somewhat of an advantage going around a left-hand corner since their weight is centralized toward the left side. So we do give a little bit up in the left-hand turns, but it's more of a uniform drive between two corners.
How about visibility? Is the visibility a big difference comparing the RS1 to a traditional Razor?
It's definitely you have more visibility from side to side. We run our door bars pretty high up for safety reasons, so it's pretty limited still in the single seat, but again, it's uniform, so whatever you see out the left, you see the same out the right, so makes it a little bit easier to drive. But then it also can be different too, like getting my truck and it's like, oh, this is weird because I'm on the left side. I'm so used to just driving down the center.
For sure. Now with the Erix coming up in just a few days, how's Erix been to you in the past few years?
Not too good. It's kind of a running joke between my friends. That's one of the only tracks that I haven't on the circuit that I haven't gotten a podium at. So it's definitely a very difficult track. I seem to struggle in past years with it. It's very technical. You gotta be on your toes going through the rhythm sections and the corners and split lanes. It's got a lot going on. Not the highest speed track, but very, very technical. So been out a few times out testing there. working with Andrew Carlson. He's been helping me out, coaching me a little bit here and there in when I've been out there to help line choices and stuff. So hopefully that'll pay off here this weekend.
Now, your family is a big role in this. Your wife, she's pretty much your crew chief. Talk about that. Talk about what it's like working with your wife and having the pleasure of being with her at the racetrack and her being by your side, whether you're on the podium or not.
Yeah, she makes pretty much everything possible. Yeah, I definitely could not do what I'm doing without her. Yeah, I don't even know where to start. She's just always there by my side and always one step ahead of me, helping out with whether it's gear or, there's been times where I've been on work trips and she'll send me a picture of my new wheels and tires mounted up. And like, I didn't even ask her to do it. She's like, got your wheels and tires all mounted up. So that's just really cool to have her like enjoy it as much, if not more than I do at times. It just makes the whole dynamic that much better. And then both our families are at every race. So her parents are really into it. My parents grew up with me racing. So we're all really into the racing side. It's kind of what we live for.
You said you grew up racing. What did you grow up racing? Was it dirt bikes? Was it four-wheelers, cars? What was it?
Yeah, I started racing dirt bikes at age 4. My dad got me a little JR50 and started riding around the house and told him I wanted to go racing, and it's been racing ever since. Did that for, I don't even know if I can remember, 18 years or so, and then tried some supermoto stuff. Still on kind of like a dirt bike. Did that for a few years, and then did some snowmobile racing, and now doing some side-by-side racing. So just I try to get out of the racing because it's very stressful at times, and sometimes I feel like I'd be better off without it. But every time I try to go to the sidelines, some other kind of racing sparks my interest.
And you've also said in one of the recent interviews with Champ Off Road that like the passion you have for it, there is nothing that really spikes the adrenaline quite like being behind the wheel.
Yeah, that's very true. I don't know what it is about it. Probably every racer can't explain it very well. There's just something about racing when you're behind the wheel and the adrenaline rush, and when you get off the track, it's just nothing else gives you that rush of energy and that feeling that you get, and even everything coming up to it. Working in the shop and like working on the car and thinking of ways to do stuff, and working with my wife, and like she's helping out with ideas on how to do stuff with setup and changes on the car. It's just, something is just really hard to explain, but every real racer knows what we're talking about.
And now, of course, you work for Polaris too, like we've talked about. But for those listening who don't know, this is kind of a little bit of your work life when you're out on track too. Are you able to, how much does your day-to-day work life tie back into your racing program?
It's always kind of like something that's on the back of my mind on both ends. When I'm at work, it's what can I learn out there in racing, and kind of vice versa. And then also I try to go trail riding quite a bit too, because that's one of our main customer focus is just our general trail rider too. So it's just really cool to be able to go out there and test out the vehicles and learn how you can make things better, and what attributes of the vehicle makes the drive and the ride enjoyable. So it's just really cool to be able to, on both ends, to be able to do that.
That's cool. Is it primarily the side-by-sides you work with Polaris then?
Yes, I spent about 5 years in doing snowmobiles, and now I've recently transitioned over to side by sides.
Gotcha.
Now, Robert, not only have the off-road racing side of side-by-sides, the market really grown in the past few years, as what so has the side-by-side market for just normal consumers. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they both have taken off so big over the last few seasons?
I feel like it's a way to get out. I mean, I think we're seeing it a lot here, even with what's going on in the world right now. It's something that you can do with your family, your friends. You can go out and meet people. Recently, I've been going on some rides in Wisconsin with my good friend and fellow racer, Matt Bone, and they go on some awesome rides where there's 50 to 100 side by sides, and just it's just crazy, all the memories, and just to see all these people having fun. And I don't think there's really anything like it, that you can just hop in a vehicle and rip around the trails, and then you can stop and eat and get back in, and just there's just nothing really like it. And the fact that you can go to so many places and ride throughout the year, I just think it's just so much easier than other forms of power sports, it seems like.
Then on the racing side of it, do you think it's really taken off over the past few years because of the more affordability in it, or do you just think they're just so much fun to drive, or a mixture of both? What do you think it is?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think we could all say that the cost probably isn't one of the aspects, but yeah, it's. I used to be a big motocross guy, but as I'm getting older, there's a saying that with age comes cage. It gives you a sense of safety being in a cage, and yeah, it's just, I don't think there's really anything like it. I tell my friends that I used to race motocross with, I still think I have more fun in a side-by-side than I did racing motocross, which is hard because I did it for so many years. But I think it's just, there's just so much to it, and the fans and the tracks and the racers, and just the whole dynamic.
Well, obviously it has grown so big over the past few years, and last week we actually announced a new rule we're going to be following in the pro stock side by side and the pro mod side by side, where after qualifying only the top 25 will make it to the main event. What are your initial thoughts on that?
I think it's good. It will make the race, or the qualifying, more exciting. There'll be more incentive to push harder, and I think it'll just in turn make racing better. We'll have a little bit limited field. I think it's just for the better for the whole sport.
Yeah, and especially when the fastest qualifier will earn a bonus point. That's huge.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about all the new little changes that are happening with Champ, with the bonus points, and with the fastest qualifier, and then I think there's one with the first position at the competition caution. So it's kind of cool to see all these new little things happening to try to make things a little more interesting.
Yeah, just so everyone is aware who's listening, at the halfway point of the race, the competition yellow, the leader of the race will earn 2 bonus points, and the driver in second place will earn 1 bonus point. And on top of that, the fastest qualifier from the day will earn 1 extra bonus point, which, in the last few years, the point series have come down to the last race. So throughout the whole year, qualifying and to the halfway point of the race is going to be huge.
It seems like they're going to have to be really, or a lot more aggressive early on. It doesn't, like, every point's going to count, especially as we progress throughout the season. So my first impression is, like, that's going to create for some good drama.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to step my game up for sure because usually I try to lay low a little bit in the beginning and then make a big push near the end. But now there's definitely more incentive to push right out of the gate and try to stay there for the rest of the race.
Robert, who do you think your biggest competitor will be this season?
I don't know if I can pick just one. I think there's a lot of fast guys out there. I had the opportunity to run over at race in Lena a couple weeks ago to get the car dialed in, and after being there, it's gonna be tough. I mean, of course, there's CJ Greaves. I mean, he's always one that's gonna be up there up front, hard to beat. Got Jason Luberg coming in the pro stock class. Yeah, there's a lot of fast guys. Scott Waz, he's stepping it up at Lena. I saw him ripping out there. So yeah, it's going to be very, very close racing, even closer than years past. So it's going to be tough, that's for sure.
Yeah, pro stock and actually all the classes this year are going to be for sure ones to watch, and really looking forward to see what all the UTV classes bring, and I think it's going to be great for the sport. Thanks for listening to the Champ Off-Road Podcast presented by Amsoil.